What if I told you that the next time you sit down to eat, you're not just filling your stomach, but tapping into something far older, deeper, and more powerful than you've ever imagined? Imagine this: the warmth of a morning brew, the comforting scent of a home-cooked dish, the shared silence of a sacred meal. Now picture that same moment, not in your kitchen, but in an ancient temple where incense coils in the air and flickering flames cast long shadows on stone-carved gods. In those sacred spaces, food was never just food, it was a conversation with the cosmos, because across the ages, and around the world, meals have carried more than flavor. They've carried meaning. Legends whispered through recipes. Curses passed down with forbidden fruits. Divine blessings folded into ritual offerings. That stew bubbling on the fire? It may have once fed a warrior god. That bread you're tearing apart? Maybe it was baked under moonlight to protect a newborn from spirits. In mythology and folklore, food is not just sustenance, it's a symbol, a language, a living story passed down from generation to generation. Every bite tells a tale. Every ingredient is a chapter. And every culture has its own delicious mythology waiting to be unwrapped. So, join me, let's feast on the forgotten tales, the enchanted recipes, and the mystical meals that have shaped entire civilizations. This is more than history. This is the taste of the divine. Welcome to the legendary feasts, the place where recipes unravel rituals, and every bite tells a forgotten tale. This is not just a channel, it's a journey through time, through taste, and through the tantalizing threads that connect food with folklore across the ages. Here, we don't just study history, we savor it. Today, we're setting the table for one of the richest and most deliciously symbolic topics in the world of cultural storytelling: the symbolism of food in mythology and folklore. Yes, food, so ordinary in its presence, yet so extraordinary in its meaning, because wherever there have been people, there has been food, and wherever there has been food, there have been stories. From the whispering deserts of North Africa to the mist-covered fjords of Iceland, food has played a central role in shaping the myths that define civilizations. It's there in the sacred rituals of millet that trace back to ancient African creation tales, grains planted not just in soil, but in spiritual identity. It's echoed in the golden mead of Norse legend, where every sip is a song, a spell, a story sung into the heavens. Across every border and belief system, you'll find foods that don't just fill stomachs, they carry messages. Seal covenants, mark rites of passage, and even summon the divine. These aren't just meals, they're metaphors. They symbolize life, death, rebirth, love, sacrifice, chaos, and purity, all stirred into the collective cauldron of human imagination. So come with me, as we lift the lid on history's most enchanted dishes. Let's trace the flavors of the gods, decode the recipes of old, and uncover the hidden language of food in the world's most enduring myths. Let's begin our mythical tasting tour with a small, humble nut that carries a weighty legacy in East Asia: the chestnut. Chestnut in both Japanese and Korean folklore, chestnuts symbolize more than just autumn's bounty. They are potent emblems of rebirth, transformation, and enduring prosperity. These nuts, which fall to the ground in their spiky shells only to reveal a warm, nourishing core, became metaphors for inner strength and hidden blessings. In Korean mythology, chestnuts often appear in creation tales, where their life-giving properties are tied to the origin of families and clans. They are central to shamanistic rituals, used to honor the spirits and reconnect with ancestral wisdom. And during Chuseok, Korea's harvest festival, families carefully arrange chestnuts as ancestral offerings, a gesture of respect, gratitude, and a wish for continuity. Here, food becomes a living bridge between the past and the present, the earthly and the sacred. Honeypot. Now, let's swirl into the golden sweetness of honey, a substance so ancient, so universal, that nearly every mythology has a tale dripping with it. In ancient Egypt, honey wasn't just a treat, it was sacred. Harvested from bees considered messengers of the gods, honey was placed in tombs, sealed in jars, and even used in the embalming of pharaohs. Its sweetness symbolized preservation, immortality, and the afterlife's serenity. Egyptians believed that honey could carry the soul safely into the next world. Meanwhile, in Norse mythology, honey took a more poetic route, literally. The gods created the legendary mead of poetry, brewed from honey and magical blood. This mythical drink bestowed the gift of eloquence, wisdom, and divine inspiration. It wasn't just a beverage, it was a liquid language, the key to unlocking creative power and divine favor. And far from the frost and sun of Egypt and Scandinavia, in African traditions, honey holds deep symbolic resonance as well. It represents healing, patience, and the slow cultivation of wisdom. Honey is seen as a gift of nature that demands respect, it cannot be rushed. Only awaited, gathered, and shared. In many healing rituals and storytelling circles, honey becomes a symbol of time, nurture, and the sweet reward of resilience. So whether it's nestled among harvest offerings, sealing the soul for eternity, or flowing through the tongues of poets and prophets, chestnuts and honey remind us that food is not just fuel, it's fate, faith, and folklore all in one bite. Now, let's step into the wild, wind-swept terrains of Mongolia and Siberia, where the elements are fierce and the spirits are ever present. Here, in the traditions of shamanic cultures, one offering stands out as deeply symbolic: raw meat. To the modern palate, raw meat might feel primal, even unsettling. But to the Mongolian shamans and the indigenous peoples of Siberia, it was a direct channel to the spiritual world. This wasn't just food, it was life force, pulsing with energy, untouched by fire, unaltered by human hands. In ceremonies that called upon sky spirits, ancestor souls, or the forces of the land itself, slabs of raw meat were laid out with deep reverence. They were offerings of strength, of vitality, acts of communion with those who came before. The rawness symbolized purity and primal power, an unfiltered essence of life passed between the living and the dead. In these cultures, consuming or offering raw meat was more than a ritual, it was a declaration: we remember. We honor. We are one with the earth and our ancestors. It's a stark, powerful reminder that not all sacred food is sweet or symbolic, some is raw, real, and roaring with ancestral energy. Wine glass from the frostbitten steppe, let's swirl into the sun-soaked vineyards of ancient Greece, where another sacred substance flows with story: wine. To the ancient Greeks, wine wasn't merely a drink. It was a portal, a potion, a pathway to transformation. In the wild, ritualistic festivals of Dionysus, god of wine, fertility, chaos, and ecstasy, wine became divine madness in a cup. It was the blood of the vine, the elixir of unfiltered emotion and freedom. To drink wine during these rites wasn't just to indulge, it was to release, from social norms, from personal restraint, from the logical mind. It invited spiritual liberation, a divine surrender to joy, grief, love, or rage. But wine also had a dual nature: it could heal or harm, enlighten or enrage, just like Dionysus himself. This ambivalence made it sacred. In the myths, wine transforms peasants into prophets, kings into madmen, and revelers into priests of ecstasy. It was an agent of metamorphosis, a drink that reminded mortals of their fragile boundary between order and chaos. So whether offered raw beneath the stars or raised in golden goblets beside marble temples, food and drink in myth are not just symbols, they're thresholds. They are how humans connect with powers beyond themselves, with gods, with ancestors, with the sacred unknown. Let's now pour ourselves into one of the most universal symbols of life: milk. Across continents and epochs, this simple, white liquid has been far more than sustenance. it has stood as a symbol of purity, nourishment, and the sacred bond between the divine and the human. In Hindu tradition, milk flows through myth and ritual like a holy river. It is offered to deities during sacred ceremonies, notably to Lord Shiva, the meditating destroyer and transformer of worlds. Pouring milk over Shiva's lingam is not just a religious rite, it's an act of cosmic devotion. It cools, soothes, and cleanses. It's believed to purify the soul, cleanse karma, and symbolize surrender to the divine will. And beyond temples, milk is woven into life's milestones, from births and weddings to death rites, always representing life's sacred continuity. Now travel west to the ancient Celtic world, where milk was equally revered. In these misty, green isles, milk was the essence of the goddess Brigid, a figure of healing, poetry, and fertility. She wasn't just a myth, she was a maternal force, said to nourish the land, animals, and people alike. Milk, in her name, was the gift of spring's renewal, of female strength, and of earth's endless generosity. To the Celts, the cow was not merely livestock, it was a spiritual companion. And milk? It was a sacred connection to abundance, nurture, and renewal. Now, from milk-white myths to golden grains, let's journey to West Africa, where food meets divinity in every seed of millet. To the Dogon people of Mali, millet isn't just a crop, it's the origin of civilization itself. In their cosmology, millet was the first cultivated grain, a divine gift from the gods, planted by celestial beings to bring structure, survival, and rhythm to human life. Each grain of millet was believed to be a code of life, holding within it the secrets of time, agriculture, and human harmony with nature. Millet became the symbol of order in a chaotic universe, a stabilizing force gifted in the earliest days of human existence. And in Dogon rituals and festivals, it is still revered, not just as food, but as a living connection to their ancestors, their gods, and their place in the cosmos. It's pounded, cooked, and shared in ceremonies that reaffirm community, continuity, and cosmic balance. These stories remind us that food is never just about taste. It's not merely a necessity, it's a language. A way our ancestors spoke to the divine. A way we pass on values, identities, and memories, because each of these foods, whether it's milk, millet, meat, honey, or wine, holds within it a story, a spell, a symbol. They're flavors of faith, recipes of resistance, and ingredients of identity, carried across centuries, served across continents, and still nourishing us in ways far beyond the physical. Now that we've explored the powerful symbols tucked inside ancient dishes, it's your turn to step up to the feast. What food from your own culture carries a deeper meaning? Is there a dish that's always present at family celebrations, maybe something served to welcome in the new year, or bring protection, prosperity, or peace? Perhaps there's a sacred meal offered during religious rituals. Or even a childhood snack that came with a story about luck or tradition. Is there something you were taught never to waste, because it honored your ancestors or connected you to the land? Drop your story in the comments below. Whether it's a bowl of noodles, a sacred fruit, or something as simple as bread, we want to hear how food connects you to your heritage. And who knows? Your story could be featured in a future episode of the Legendary Feasts. If this journey through mythology and meals is stirring your soul, go ahead and smash that like button, share it with your fellow food history lovers, and stay with us, because the feast is just getting started. From the flickering light of ancient candles to the bustling heart of modern kitchens, food has always been more than a mere necessity. It's been a bridge, connecting the human with the divine, the past with the present, and the living with the sacred. Whether in the flicker of a ritual fire or the warmth of a family meal, food is a reflection of who we are, where we come from, and what we believe in. It's an unspoken language passed down through generations, echoing stories of gods, kings, and ancient ancestors who once savored these same dishes. So the next time you take a bite, I invite you to pause, just for a moment. Let the aroma of your meal stir the senses, and let your mind wander. What legends live in your food? Because history isn't just written in textbooks, it's simmering in pots, hidden in ingredients, and passed down through generations on plates. Each dish holds a tale, a symbol, a piece of a larger story. So, if you're ready to keep uncovering those untold stories, subscribe to the Legendary Feasts and join us in exploring the deep, rich heritage of food. We'll dig into the meals that shaped civilizations, the feasts that honored gods, and the flavors that keep ancient tales alive. Stay hungry for knowledge, and until next time, honor the myth, savor the feast.